Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It is time for freestyle chess, the best players in the world playing a frankly amazing format. You shuffle the back pieces, all of a sudden you've got the same game, but not the way you remember it. Freestyle chess is amazing. I'm going to click over to live board because they draw a random position from the 960 available, because it's also called chess 960, also called Fisher random. And then these players get into groups, not all of them, some of them choose to work alone, but that's being antisocial. And then for a few minutes, they're all like analyzing, looking at the best way to start the game. Imagine that. You're looking at the best way to start a game because all the opening theory is gone. And today we're talking about Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura. This is why you clicked on the video. It's to see these two go at it in this format, freestyle. Hikaru's got the white pieces, Magnus has got the black pieces. Not that that matters. Sometimes it's better to be black because you can just kind of keep it symmetrical. So they got this position, which looks ridiculous. You've got the king here on b8. You've got a rook here, knight. Queen's on a normal square, to be fair, and then there's this bishop on its normal square. So we shall see how these players go at it. So we get e4. Ironically enough, I'm looking at the engine lines. It's thinking d4, it's thinking g4, and it's thinking a4. I understand d4 because you're getting this bishop active, the knight can go behind, you're occupying central space. Some of the normal chess principles still apply. g4 also understand you're gaining space, the bishop can become active, the knight goes behind the pawn, makes a little bit of sense. Hikaru elects to play e4, and he wasn't the only one in this round. d5 from Magnus, looking to activate the queen, and e4, already a mistake, giving Magnus an advantage. And remember, these players don't have an engine, so they're analyzing with their knowledge and what they think looks right. And e takes d5 here doesn't look right because of queen takes d5, and you don't have a knight to kick out the queen, and the queen's very active. It stops any g4s. Actually, you can still play g4 because the rook protects the knight. And the best move here, according to the engine, is to play a4. So obviously Hikaru didn't like something, or his analysis didn't like something, so he plays e5, get f6, and then d4. g5 now. And it's not as crazy as it looks, because there's no king to compromise, because the king's on b1 and b8, for crying out loud. ed5, ef6, okay. ef6, ef6, bishop to d3. Bishop to g6, looking to trade off. You don't want to trade. You want to be the one to be taken because you'll activate your knight. So we continue developing pieces all around as those bishops just stare at each other. I don't know why Magnus... Oh, I suppose you don't take now because the queen would take. Okay, never mind. I answered my own question. I hope I answered yours as well. Magnus a little bit down on time. b3. Here played by Hikaru. Another mistake. It's still move 8, 9. So not much you can do. They are playing rapid round robins before they get to long classical games to decide the winner of this leg of the Grand Slam Tour. Remember, whoever has the most points will be crowned the freestyle champion, not world champion, whatever they agreed with FIDE. They came to some agreement. Anyway, bishop a3, now preventing Hikaru from castling. Kind of, yeah, preventing him from castling. We're going to rotate the bishop out and take space with f4. The interesting dichotomy that you're presented when you play freestyle is, where do you commit your king if you commit them at all? Because you kind of don't want to go too early, because then you allow your opponent to really attack you. Which is really the most interesting thing. I don't really have anything to say here. There's a few moves for Magnus to consider, but he's Magnus Carlsen. He pumps out the best move, a4. He's just going to attack Hikaru. He's going to get his rook on the a file open. His knight is going to be ready. His queen's going to be active. And somehow Magnus Carlsen has done it again. Even though it's freestyle chess, which for some reason he has struggled with a bit. So we get takes on g5. F takes g5. Queen targets the pawn. I don't care about the pawn. I am looking for activity. You cannot waste your time going to take this, because I'm simply going to take this, and then you are bust. Your piece, your knight's still defending that, to be fair. But here c takes, and then we get knight g6. And this is better for Magnus. So we get bishop takes, knight takes, and now this. Another mistake from Hikaru. And every time he's made a mistake so far, Magnus hasn't really punished him and kept a really big advantage. But it's very interesting to see all these slight inaccuracies in the game, because somehow they've played the same position. Their king and rook are here, are in the same position, and yet Magnus's king is safer. Just somehow his activity and his threats towards Hikaru, he's kind of really taken over this game. It's very interesting to see. So we get bishop takes, queen takes. And now look at this, taking space on the queen side. That looks like a free pawn. You can't take it. Because you lose defense of this knight on e2. So we get rook f2, h4, the knight retreats. It's a mistake. It goes the wrong way. You need to play knight h5. As stupid as it looks, knight to h5, threatening a fork, at which point we'll probably get something like rook e6. And, where's that rook going to go? But Hikaru goes the wrong way. Should have been brave. Knight to f1. Now the queen puts pressure on the knight, also threatening back rank infiltrations. We can have time to play g3, and knight to e7, not the most accurate move from Magnus, giving back a little bit of advantage, because Hikaru finds the key move here, queen to d2. And from here, you're out of the opening, you're just playing a game of chess. The pawn structures are different, the piece coordinations are different than a Roy Lopez or a Sicilian, but at the end of the day, it's a game of chess. The rules haven't changed. You still have to checkmate the opponent's king. Knight to f5, queen to not queen to d2, long castles from Hikaru, which proves to be the best move in the position, but I think long term it's a mistake, because you get a takes, and this takes, and now this rook, without having the move, has got the best target in the world. Magnus hasn't had to move his king. He can't castle, really. I mean, he can still long castle. Doesn't need to. He's got an open rook on the a file. So he drops his knight back because it's going to come forward. Hikaru finds the best move again, knight to c3. The last 4 moves, Hikaru has found just about only moves to keep the advantage from not going too high. Knight e4 takes. But now you've got a pass pawn. Now Magnus has got a pass pawn. And Magnus earlier in this tournament played Vidit Gujrati and extracted water from stone. It was a drawn endgame. They went over 100 moves and Magnus still won a drawn position. Knight d5, threatening to remove that knight as a blockader. And look at this, the haymaker. I saw this move and I knew I had to show you this game. Rook takes a2. How it's not given a brilliant move, I do not know. I'm going to do it myself. Can I? Yes, I can. I do not understand. Let me activate the emoji palette. How is this not a brilliant move? I want someone to explain to me how it's not a brilliant move. Because you just haymaker from nowhere. Rook takes a2. It's very simple. Queen takes, and now knight takes. You remove the blockade. You threaten the rook. You threaten a lot of different things. So the rook jumps out the way, and now queen c6 check. You have no choice. You have to give back the material. Or do you? Because rook c2 is a miss. You can, in this position, play king b1 or king b2. You can. It looks counterintuitive, but you can. And you can pray. Hikaru makes a practical decision. He gives back the material. Rook to c2, takes, queen takes, and Magnus elects to keep queens on the board. It's the best way to play this endgame. Takes, king moves up. You do not want to go into this situation where you're pinning because you're walking directly into this, and that is a problem. Just a quick sideline, so king to b2. Pawn comes forward. Queen looking to corral the pawn. It's not going to be good enough. Magnus is in Magnus mode. He's in endgame mode. As I need to take a sip of water before the fireworks. Long day at university. 10,000 steps. This is Magnus's greatest asset, but also the fact that Hikaru's king is very weak. I do not know how Hikaru gets to Magnus's king. You've got to keep this pawn alive, but you're able to do stuff like this. So you're also not really able to win this pawn. That's why this move is so brilliant, because if you take, for example, queen here, and there's no way you can defend in time, you lose the rook. That's why queen f6 works, and you still can't win the pawn. Rook e2, queen drops back to f1. Again, I don't think this can be taken because queen takes, and it's x-ray defense from the rook. So again, the pawn is untouchable. As we threaten the king, rook gets kicked back, and look at this. Rook a6. This king is getting hunted. We don't care about this pawn anymore because you don't have time to take it. Hikaru does take it. Rook a2 check. Remember how a couple moves ago we had a sacrifice of the rook on a2 and we opened the a file completely? Well, now the other rook teamed up with the queen and went on a journey to a2 to give a check. King was forced up, check, and we are threatening a mating net. Obviously there's en passant here, but Magnus is threatening to mate Hikaru's king. There's queen up as well, which is mate in various positions. Queen slides up. Now we give this check, force the king out. We threaten the repetition. Will Magnus find the win? King b7. Look at this. Ice cold in his white jacket because all the players get really random color jackets. Queen slides over. Another check. We're not able to pick up the rook just yet, but we can attack the queen. Queen moves out the way. Now we give another check. King forced up. And it is just hunting the king out, finding the right coordination. We pick up this pawn. And we give a check. And we force the king into a mating net as it gets hunted, and eventually Magnus finds it. He gives this one final check, and Hikaru's king will be mated promptly. Hikaru Nakamura resigns to Magnus Carlsen. Magnus had a fantastic day. Him and Nordebek lead the event with 5 out of 6. I can click on the side tab. I can click on Magnus Carlsen. So Magnus in game 1, as I told you, extracted water from stone against Vijay Gujrathi. He then lost to Arjun Erigaisi, but then 4 wins in a row, including this game. He beats Fabiano Caruana, who's having a really tough time in this event. He beats the world champion Gukesh Damaraju. He beats Hikaru Nakamura, and he beats Pragdananda Ramesh Babu. He has, 5 more games? Because there's 11 of them. Yeah, so he still has to play Vincent Keimer, Nodibek Abdusatorov, Ricard Rapport, Jan Nepomniachtchi, and Maxim Vashir-Lagrave. Notebek Abdusatorov is the co-leader. They're both on 5. He had a fantastic event. I think he's undefeated. As for Hikaru, he's not having a bad. He lost to Jan. He drew with MVL. He beat Vidit. He beat Arjun. He lost to Magnus, and then he beat Gukesh. So the world champion obviously struggling when the pieces are shuffled. It's a very interesting format. I will make a long form video talking about what I really think about freestyle, but purely as playing freestyle events, I think they're fantastic. I really do. The atmosphere they've got at these events, the broadcast team from chess.com and stuff, the way it's being put on, it's fantastic. These players, as I said, they've got these really cool colored coats. The one in Varsenhuis was fantastic, won by Vincent Keimer. Magnus will want to win one of these events. I mean, he's a really big spokesperson for it. Will he conquer the Chess 960 demon? He hasn't. He won the big event last year, but he hasn't really won that big event. When I say he won the big event last year, it was like the big match against Fabiano Caruana and a really random open. But he kind of needs to win this tour to be declared the freestyle champion, world champion, whatever. The world champion-elect, whatever you want to call him. Because he hasn't really done it. He came up short in Varsenhuis. He finished 3rd. He came up short in 2022 when Hikaru won the Chess 960 World Championship, the Fischer Random World Championship. So it's going to be very interesting to see this event and the events going forward. One of which, Cape Town, South Africa. I don't know if I'll be able to go because I live in Johannesburg, which is not that far, but airfare is really expensive. And I'll have to fly down. I won't be able to drive down. So I will see. Accommodation's really expensive in Cape Town when you live in South Africa. If you're coming from overseas, by all means, South Africa, really, really awesome place. They'll be right by Table Mountain. It'll be fantastic. Chess 960, today was day 1. Tomorrow they conclude the round robins. And then the top 8 qualify for quarterfinals, semifinals. And it's a really awesome format where the top 4 choose their opponents. So whoever finishes number 1 gets to choose from 5 to 8. So they would obviously probably pick player 8. The bottom 4 all go into like an elimination bracket to sort out who finishes 9th and 10th, because you score points. Top 10 all score points. After this event, there is an open where a lot of players are going to be, but all these other legs are by invitation only. I'm really upset because we could have had Hans Niemann. He was meant to play this event. Unfortunately, he's not been able to. I believe Nordbeck was drafted in to replace him, or one of the Indians. I'm not entirely sure. But we nearly had Magnus v. Hans again. But this was a sensational game from Magnus Carlsen. Rook a2. Rook takes a2. Hikaru getting his king mated. What else can you say? What else can you really say? Awesome stuff. I'll see you for day 2 of Paris Freestyle Chess 2025.